spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
What a beautiful day to be alive. My debt is paid and more money arrives. The fridge is full and there's plenty of ice for a fireside chat with anyone I like. What a beautiful day, good to be here, when almost everyone has disappeared. When almost everyone is waiting in line, it's good to meet you in this world of mine.
Welcome, everybody. You're listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. I'm Ginny Gunther, also known as Ginny Almighty, and I'll be your host tonight along with Dr. Carolyn Dean for 2 hours of probably some of the most amazing and inspiring health information that you can find on the radio, and that includes Sirius and Delirious and every other radio channel and network out there, because we're on AchieveRadio.com, where we can say the things that we need to say in order to inspire people to have the knowledge they need and the information they need in order to help their bodies, their minds, and their spirits excel, expand, ascend into new heights of vitality and well-being. And the person who is our tremendously and totally fearless leader today, and ladies and gentlemen, I must say she is tremendous and she is totally fearless. This lady is something else, is our very own Dr. Carolyn Dean, who joins us tonight for 2 hours. And let me just say that we are on the eve of her book launch of the Magnesium Miracle 2017 edition, a book that she has updated with over 600 medical references demonstrating the imperative nature of magnesium in the body, and also educating the public on how to select a magnesium supplement that is going to serve you well, considering the fact that you're probably not going to be able to get it from your food. We're going to talk about that tonight, along with a lot of other things. And let me, before I bring her on, just say, as an author, she is prolific. She's a doctor, yes, absolutely, with a license, and has been holding people's hands, sharing her compassion, touching, squeezing, hugging their bodies, and using her own particular modality of incredible instincts, and medical knowledge to be with people over the last 40 years. She's a naturopath. She's integrated all that medical allopathic information into natural medicine as well. She's an herbalist. She's an acupuncturist. She can do so many things. She's fantastic on the body-mind connection. But as an author, ladies and gentlemen, she's hard to beat because she writes things that people understand. And her goal is not to bedazzle you with a bunch of scientific woo-woo, but to really get it down to the point where you understand medically, physically, every otherwise, why this is so important to you and your body and how to take care of your body. So I honor her tonight as an author. I'm so happy to be a part of what she's doing, and so thrilled for her that the Magnesium Miracle 2017 edition is launching tomorrow, August 15th. Welcome again, Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Oh. Yay. Thank you, Jenny. Another lively, wonderful introduction. I'm going to say it's Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, coming to you at a cellular level. That's what we're doing. We're coming to you at a cellular level. And I think that's been our focus all along, Jenny. You've said it many times. We're supplying the building blocks for people to work with their bodies. I mean, you don't even have to work with what we're doing. And just to jump to a mailbag as it comes to mind here, someone is writing, I'm enchanted with the reviews on the bundle, but question how it can suit everyone, and wonder which supplements I personally take, if any, could be eliminated. Now, we've mentioned this quite a bit. It's a fantastic question, and what I've realized in my 50 years of reading health information and trying to support people in staying healthy is that you need nutrients that the body's going to absorb, the nutrients that the body will like. And I used to think it would be herbal until you find out that most of the herbs are imported, and there's no way of knowing if they're what they say they are. It's not like when we do our certificate of analysis and our multiple testing of our minerals, we know exactly what's in there, the parts per million. We know that there's no contamination, but with herbs it got very difficult, so that I can't work with herbs. Went to Codex and find out they're trying to allow adulterants in our food. They're trying to say that dietary supplements should be mostly synthetic and low potency so that they don't interfere with drugs. That's the modus operandi of dietary supplements at this point, according to our government, is that they aren't really going to help you with your dis-ease. They're mainly taken so that they don't interfere with drugs, but taken to support your health, and that's what the FDA is telling us right now. So the past few years, I've come to find 100% absorbed minerals that get to your cells and are the building blocks, so that when someone says, well, how can this help everybody? You're looking at minerals that will help everybody. You're looking at some methylated Bs that are very important, because with magnesium deficiency, it's very hard for us to methylate our Bs on our own. So until we get our magnesium saturation up to par, then we have to use extra methylation in our Bs, and there's some gentle detox in that Realign formula as well. We're working with a wonderful protein powder. We have to call it a protein powder even though it has protein, carbs, and fat. So it's like a meal, but we can't call it that. So we have food for the body, because people are grabbing junk food when they could be grabbing a pouch of Restructure. And then in a blog I've done called Dr. Dean Supplement Recommendations, you can find out the other just few, a handful in total of nutrients that the body really needs to stay healthy, to get healthy and stay healthy. So that's the answer to this question about, well, how can it help everybody? And that is our focus. We want to help everyone instead of being specialized. The next thing I want to jump into, we don't do this enough. We do get emails constantly about our customer service, but this was especially sweet. So this is customer service appreciation. Lucy writes, I happily opened my package from you, and there was a nice card from shipping assistant Houston H. He had a nice smile, and so I had to write and say thank you to him for doing a great job with my package that arrived safely and with good vibes in it when I opened it. Please let him know. It is nice to buy from a company that values its workforce enough to send their pictures in a nice business card. Do a good job, everyone. Enjoy the weekend and come back and do it all over again. Thanks, Houston. So that was sweet, Ginny. So you'll pass that along to Houston and all the other wonderful people that work with you.
Yes, absolutely. I will pass that along and do this too. Yeah, they're all awesome, every single one of them, and we do value everybody, and we do want to show off who they are, because they are not just a a ghost behind a box. They are real people, and they're in there really caring, and Houston was just so excited, and he said, did you hear what she said? She felt the vibe, and that's how they feel about it. So I thought that was wonderful. Yeah, very sweet.
Yeah, I don't know if we can talk about Houston. Do you want to say how young he is, what he's doing, anything like that, or is this enough to know that he's got a sweet smile?
Well, he is a student. He just graduated, and he is in massage therapy school, and he's got job offers out the yin-yang. That's how talented he is, and he is young. He's in his early 20s, but he's a very caring, compassionate, committed young man, as are, all of our employees are really amazing. I mean, Melody Rose and Doug and Pam and Allie and Susan and Alicia and James, and I mean every single person. Who else am I leaving out? Well, Austin, Savvy, and they've been involved for years, and Megan. I mean everybody's very compassionate. They're very dedicated, and they love Dr. Dean. They all use the products, and they're very committed to what they're doing. So we appreciate every single one of them. Absolutely.
Fantastic. As we appreciate you, Ginny, and I know they appreciate you as a so-called boss that bosses them around without being bossy. It's awesome the way Ginny takes care of her people.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, and Ginny's blog, I'll start off with that because it is about the book launch. But somebody wrote a poem, and if you got the email with her blog, you should. And if you didn't, you really should sign up at rnareset.com for our newsletter, which it goes out once a week from Ginny. Chad does use the emails to give you, I was going to say testimonials. We can't really use disease testimonials anymore, but Chad writes out to give you information about our products. But Ginny's blog starts with, "'Twas the night before book launch, and all through the world, millions were anticipating the Magnesium Miracles book pages to unfurl. The pages were typed with precision and care in hopes that the miracle would reach everyone, everywhere." So who wrote that, Ginny? Who wrote that?
Oh, I did. I was going to try to do the whole thing, but honestly, Mondays are so busy. That's as far as I could get.
So people can fill in the blanks, but that is so sweet. And the blog goes on. Yes, it's the night before the Magnesium Miracle 2017 edition launches itself into the world via Amazon Books, hurled out into the cosmos, doing the most good for the highest number of individuals and families by telling the amazing story of how we became so magnesium deficient and what we can do about it. So what you'll notice, it'll say Magnesium Miracle 2nd edition. Now, I know I have several different Magnesium Miracles, different covers and everything. What happened is when I've updated the book before, I've done it within the page count, I guess you could say. A new edition is a whole new typesetting job, and for some reason, in 2014, they wouldn't budge and give me a new edition that had the same USBN number, whatever, the Library of Congress identification number. So what I said was, gosh, I've got so much new information. And so I said to them, what about the introduction? The introduction is not page numbered. It's numbered with Roman numerals, and they thought, oh, yeah, you can stretch the introduction. So I went from like a 10-page introduction to an 80-page introduction. I think they were a little bit surprised, but then that 80-page introduction and a couple hundred pages more went into the 2017 edition. So now it's a 600-page book, and as Ginny said, with 600 references. So it is really pretty awesome, the information coming out about magnesium that I've been able to write about. And Ginny talks about the press release that accompanies the book, we said, scurvy is a deficiency of vitamin C complex and is resolved by eating fruits and vegetables or taking a vitamin C supplement. We all know how important vitamin C is, but apparently it's only active as a cofactor in 8 enzymes. Magnesium is 100 times more powerful, being responsible for the activity of 700 to 800 enzyme processes, yet the public has not been fully educated on its benefits. In the Magnesium Miracle 2017 edition, Dr. Carolyn Dean, the world-renowned expert on magnesium deficiency, revises her own original work with new information and over 600 medical references as to the efficacy and imperative nature of magnesium in the body. In a pre-sale circulation, Random House has forwarded advanced copies to professionals and practitioners around the world. Consider these powerful comments from readers. Well, the professional readers. Helen K. Saul, assistant editor of Orthomolecular Medicine and author of several books on vitamins, the vitamin cure for women's health. She's done one on vitamins in pregnancy, and I think she's got one out on vitamins in children as well. So Helen says, I agree with Dr. Dean. Everyone could benefit from extra magnesium supplementation, comprehensive and clear. Even a beginner will find the pathway to relief is doable when they read the Magnesium Miracle and learn about obtaining optimal dosages. Christiane Northrup, we howl about her review almost every week because it was so awesome. Christiane writes, Dr. Carolyn Dean has been light years ahead of her time when it comes to the crucial mineral magnesium and its many life-saving uses. Her work is a gift to humanity, and I highly recommend it. And Christiane uses our products. And she's written several books, Goddesses Never Age, Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom, and the Wisdom of Menopause. What she says on her radio show, because she attracts a lot of people with, trying to balance mental and emotional and physical. So she's answering a lot of sort of stress questions on her radio show. And what she began to say, many months ago was, look, get your physical balanced with Dr. Dean's products, and then it'll be easier for you to deal with the multiple stressors that you're talking about. Barbara Schultz, she's a nurse, master's in nutrition, certified nutritionist, and she does our nutritional consultation if people require nutritional consultation and recipe and diet advice. So Barbara writes, the Magnesium Miracle is a miracle unto itself. Every chapter has been updated with the most fascinating information. Most people have no clue that magnesium is needed for several hundred reactions in the body, and magnesium is easily depleted, especially in our stressful times. Additionally, magnesium is difficult to get in our food supply because our soil is so depleted of this important mineral. I will ask most of my patients to read this latest version. So many have atrial fibrillation and I can't say that. We're not allowed to say what we are realizing is magnesium deficiency can cause many symptoms, and then those symptoms are treated with drugs. So anyway, Barbara finishes, thank you, Dr. Dean, for updating this most important topic. And Dr. Philip Princetta, he's a functional medicine chiropractor in San Diego, and he says, in my 40 years of any nutritional component, whether vitamin or minerals, such as Dr. Dean's newest book on magnesium. This book is a gift from above. So, just awesome writing. When I go to Amazon and look at the Magnesium Miracle second edition, I find it's number one in new releases in vitamins and supplements. It's not even out yet. It's out tomorrow. But in the pre-sales, people have made this number two in books under health and nutrition. The final designation is vitamins and supplements. So we've got a bestseller in vitamins and supplements without anyone even receiving their books yet. So I think that's particularly awesome. So the book, and the book, they increased the price. I'm looking at the Kindle, the paperback. It's only $12.38. The price they put on the book itself is $20. So on Amazon you can get it for a reduction of $7. So this means that I want everybody to buy a dozen books. I'm serious about this. Everyone needs to buy a dozen books and give them out at every opportunity you can, because in that way you're saving lives. We're not able to talk about the book too much because we can't. So that means you're the ambassadors for the book. So just get your dozen copies. It's almost half price on Amazon. And, I don't know whether you like Amazon or not, but they're getting the information out there for us at least. And we do have our products on Amazon. We have Remag on Amazon, and it's doing exceptionally well. We'll put all our products there. So, and why we like Amazon is people can freely write testimonials. They haven't stopped the First Amendment on Amazon yet. So that's my talk about the book and Ginny's blog. Before I go to my blogs, Ginny, would you like to say anything?
Well, I would like to say that I think I'd like you to just go through. Can you talk about some of the sections that you updated? Because a lot of people do already have your previous edition, but maybe just write some of the things that you talked about. Can you say those things?
Wow. Well, every page is different. Pretty much. Seriously, when I went through that book with track changes in the beginning, it's like it had smallpox. It was so red. Everything has been updated. If I had studies on anxiety, depression, sleep chapter, I would update them, and maybe, I would bump a couple of really old references too. And they still ended up with 600 references. So I wouldn't be able to tease out at this point what's new. And I think with a book like this, people are saying, like Dr. Princetta said, he read it from cover to cover. And each time you read it, you do learn something new. So I'm not going to say to people, oh, well, you just have to read this or that chapter. The whole thing is brand spanking new, because I think partly, I've had the experience of how to get enough magnesium in the body to really make a difference, instead of just thinking it's a laxative if you take a little bit too much. It is a major medical breakthrough what we've been discovering with magnesium, and unfortunately the FDA won't let us talk about it in the way we want to, and hopefully the book will be allowed to stay on the stands and won't be recalled. So get the book, buy a dozen copies, hand them out. That's your marching orders from me to you.
Very good. Excellent. Yep. Very good. Yep. Absolutely. And I think, too, the other thing that's interesting to me is out of all the pre-copies that we've given out to doctors and practitioners and everything, we've gotten lots of feedback about how invaluable it is it's like a physician's reference. It's not technically complicated for individuals to read because it is still addressed to the public, but it's something that people can hand to their doctor, and their doctor will respect the work because it's got so many medical references in it. And this is another, very valuable aspect of, the education, which is, a lot of our patients do talk to their doctors about their results, what's happening with them, and some of their doctors take it a step further and they want to know more.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a very good point. You can hand this book to your doctor, and they won't turn up their nose because the information is so well written and so well referenced. They cannot put it aside, and they just have to be impressed with it and impressed with the importance of it. And actually, that's part of the problem in nutritional medicine is doctors say, well, there's no science behind it. They will say that over and over again. And you say, no, look, here's the science. I know you haven't had time to really read this. Maybe the medical journals don't have a lot about magnesium that you're finding, but the research is there. And then you see they can recommend magnesium or hopefully prescribe the right kinds and not just magnesium oxide, and be able to say to their health maintenance organization or their other doctors, oh, no, this is scientific. Here's the references. Because that's what's holding back nutritional medicine is doctors who say it's not science-based. The quackbusters are out there constantly attacking anything that's natural and saying, no, there's no science behind it. Whereas now we're finding more and more the science is adulterated. People aren't trusting the science. They're fudging results. I've just worked on a new blog again about cholesterol and how a recent meta-analysis showed that it really, cholesterol lowering really does not help people over 60. And taking statins for people over 60 is really not a good idea. They have more side effects than they do benefits. And doctors will read that meta-analysis, read that scientific report and say, oh, that can't be true. What else are we going to do to treat the heart disease? The only thing we can hang our hat on is cholesterol. So I'm going to keep on giving statins. So they don't even believe their own science if it goes against their beliefs. So it's pretty difficult. It's difficult for people to tease out what's really going on, and that's why I say just keep Googling my name and, what I've said about things. I try to be very common sense about what I report. So that's that. And I want to go into I guess it was just one blog since last week, but it's a pretty long topic. But I'm just going to ask Ginny, do we have callers yet, Ginny, or will I launch into my blog?
Let's see. Well, I haven't announced how to call in, but let's do this. I'll do it, and I don't see anybody raising their hands right yet. So why don't you go on to the blog? Let me just tell you that if you'd like to call in and talk to Dr. Dean this evening, it's 602-666-6027 is the number. Again, that's 602-666-6027 is the phone number to call. And then once you dial in, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad. *5 will raise your hand and let us know you have a question or comment, and we'll put you on the line with Dr. Dean. Okay, so Carolyn, go ahead and read the blog, and let's wait for our callers to come in.
Okay, great. So the title is Acid Blockers Block Everything. This is at drcarolyndean.com. And it was a recent study that came up, I'm pretty sure is why I wrote this. So protein pump inhibitors is what these acid blockers are called. They kill stomach acid by inhibiting the proton pump in the parietal cells of the stomach. Proton pump inhibitors irreversibly block the hydrogen-potassium ATPase enzyme system, aka the gastric proton pump. However, these drugs also knock out other proton pumps throughout the body. Exactly. Here's a sidebar. how can they say, oh, it's just going to go to the stomach and not affect anything else in the body? It's just incredible how these scientists, pretend like these drugs are smart. And like I say about antibiotics, they're stupid drugs. Continuing. As you might expect, the ATPase pump is a magnesium-dependent enzyme system. It secretes protons into the gastric fluid, making it acidic. But if you have magnesium deficiency to start with, the pump is not functioning properly. In 2011, so that's 6 years ago, the FDA warned the public that proton pump inhibitors cause magnesium deficiency. So in effect, you have a drug that works by depleting the most important mineral in the body, a mineral that is necessary for the activation and function of 700 to 800 enzyme systems, a mineral that catalyzes most of the chemical reactions in the body, that synthesizes proteins, stabilizes RNA and DNA, transmits nerve signals, relaxes muscles, whereas calcium contracts muscles, and it produces and transports energy called ATP. Proton pump inhibitors are the most prescribed class of drugs in the world, in spite of the mounting side effects and warnings by researchers about the following risks and complications. So these PPIs drastically alter intestinal flora by changing stomach pH. They lower stomach pH, which impairs nutrient absorption, negatively impacting bone health, and magnesium is one of the nutrients most affected. PPIs increase the risk of cardiovascular events by reducing magnesium and nitric oxide and damaging endothelial cells in blood vessels. PPIs inhibit lysosomes, which are responsible for removing waste products from the cytoplasm of cells. Lysosomes in the endothelial cells also have proton pumps that produce the acid necessary to break down protein waste. So if the proton pumps are killed, they're not going to be able to detoxify and remove waste. So this protein waste accumulates in cells, leading to aging and early death, which explains the increase of vascular dementia, myocardial infarction or heart attack, and renal disease. PPIs harm the kidneys, causing both acute and chronic kidney disease, partly by destroying kidney proton pumps that regulate pH by reabsorbing bicarb. PPIs negatively affect cognitive function by crossing the blood-brain barrier and potentially increasing levels of amyloid beta, which are plaques characteristic of Alzheimer's disease. Proton pumps aid the necessary communication between brain cells, which is disrupted when the PPIs kill these pumps. PPIs can actually worsen stomach pain, the very symptom they are trying to control, and PPI withdrawal can lead to rebound reflux. So if you stop them, you get worse, and you think you really need them, but they're doing so. I mean, how many things did I mention there? And that's not all of them. So what I did next was look at what did the FDA say in 2011 when it had put out an FDA drug safety communication. The title was Low Magnesium Levels Can Be Associated with Long-Term Use of Proton Pump Inhibitor Drugs. This was March 2nd, 2011, 6.5 years ago. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is informing the public that prescription proton pump inhibitor drugs may cause low serum magnesium levels if taken for prolonged periods of time, in most cases longer than 1 year. In approximately 1/4 of the cases reviewed, magnesium supplementation alone did not improve the low serum magnesium levels, and the PPI had to be discontinued. So, people I'm sure who listen to the show know that serum magnesium is not even a reliable test. If they'd done a magnesium RBC test or especially an ionized magnesium test, I'm sure they would have found much higher numbers of people who were magnesium deficient on these PPIs. PPIs, so they talk about how they work by reducing the amount of acid in the stomach. In 2009, they say approximately 21 million patients filled PPI prescriptions. Patients who take PPIs usually stay on therapy for an average of about 180 days, which is 6 months. So in one, they're talking about how it's only in the chronic use, and they say longer than 1 year, but most people are taking them for years and years. They give a list of the drugs. You can look this up, just the FDA note on PPIs and magnesium. There's also over-the-counter PPIs. They're lower doses, but look at this. They're only intended for a 14-day course of treatment up to 3 times a year. Now, who reads that or who listens to that? So they've got these PPIs over the counter that aren't being regulated in any way, and they just have a label that says, well, short-term use only. Now, if they say short-term use is 14 days up to 3 times a year, is everything else long-term use? And do they have any research on those timings? And also, if they're still just doing sheer magnesium, they're not even getting a true figure. Okay, then they say low serum magnesium levels can result in serious adverse events, including muscle spasm, irregular heartbeat, and convulsions, seizures. However, patients do not always have these symptoms, thank goodness. So they're admitting that these drugs are causing low serum, and these drugs are related to muscle spasm, irregular heartbeat, and convulsions. And what do they further say? I mean, this is a huge, long paper. Healthcare professionals should consider obtaining serum magnesium levels prior to initiation of PPI treatments. They do not do that. As well, they should be testing people who are on medications such as digoxin, diuretics, or drugs that may cause hypomagnesemia. Information about the potential risk of low serum magnesium levels will be added to the warnings and precautions of the labels for all prescription PPIs. But then they say they're not going to put a warning on the over-the-counter medication, which I found very interesting. So then additional information for patients, if you're taking digoxin diuretics or other drugs that may cause low magnesium, tell your doctor. And, there's no good test to really show that. And then it continues on that low magnesium occurs with loop diuretics, thiazide diuretics. These agents can cause low magnesium when used as a single agent or when combined with beta blockers, angiotensin inhibitors, ACE inhibitors. And then in Wiki, they're talking about alcoholism causes low magnesium, thiamine deficiency because is associated with low magnesium, because magnesium is needed to transform thiamine into the methylated thiamine. And the medications, they just lists and lists of them. The diuretics, we mentioned antibiotics, digitalis, adrenergic, cisplatin, and you can look up the list. I think I have a lot of these drugs listed in Magnesium Miracle as well. So then they give a long, long summary how they reviewed reports from adverse event reporting system to come to this conclusion. So that made me wonder about just advising people, perhaps you should report your experience with magnesium deficiencies if you've gotten them from, some event or some medication or even from stress, because how else is the agency, the FDA or Health and Human Services going to know that certain medications are causing magnesium deficiency, or even the vitamin D business causing magnesium deficiency? And it's something that I think I'll look into. And, the final thing I have here, there's a lot more information, but just to repeat that the FDA believes that over-the-counter PPIs carry very little risk of hypomagnesemia when used according to the package directions, and therefore the drug facts box for over-the-counter PPIs will not be changed to include the risk of hypomagnesemia. So you see how they dance around their commitment to protecting the health of the public. It's important to look at this aspect of the FDA, the adverse drug reporting, this talking about PPIs and warning that it causes magnesium deficiency, because all we talk about is treating magnesium deficiency. And it's almost like when we're told, well, if someone has a magnesium deficiency and then they happen to have a disease caused by magnesium deficiency, we're not allowed to say you can treat it with magnesium deficiency. But this branch of government is saying, well, if you've got PPIs, if you take PPIs, you can develop chronic magnesium deficiency, and the treatment is to take magnesium and maybe stop the PPI. So are they in direct conflict with the branch of the FDA that is telling us we can't tell people to take magnesium if they're on a PPI? So it's interesting. I wonder what will come of that kind of discrepancy. I love pointing out discrepancies. So, Ginny, I have completed my task for today. Over to you.
I want to say that that was a very thorough presentation, Carolyn, and which something that we need to really archive and thrust on our customers as much as possible, because we have customers who write us all the time and say they've been taking PPIs for 14 years nonstop. Mm-hmm. And they've been taking double doses of PPIs and maximum doses daily for years at their doctor's instruction. So you're absolutely right. Nobody is paying attention to this 14-day business, even though that's the way it's packaged. And that's supposed to be some kind of a preventative thing. But yet there's all kinds of things that we know that just the packaging is not the prevention, because people are going to do what they do, and they don't have any idea what the consequence is of stripping their body of any kind of hydrochloric acid, which is what they do, and also the way that it aggravates yeast. Your body will not break down your foods properly, but also hydrochloric acid is part of what keeps yeast in check. And if you don't have proper hydrochloric acid in your gut, you are going to get a yeast overgrowth. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah, and it's from the acid in the stomach kind of killing ambient yeast in your food as it kills parasites and bacteria. So that's one thing that's lost, but also, like Ginny said, if you don't completely digest your food by chewing properly, by having enough hydrochloric acid, then that undigested food will feed the yeast and what they call anaerobic bacteria in your gut that leads to this leaky gut and dysbiosis. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, it's really something. It's interesting when you see the patterns of, what people write in about and what their, considerations are, and you see that over a period of years. You don't have to be a clinical scientist or anything to just draw a basic, conclusion called, gosh, if you suppress your gut for long enough with those crazy pills, you're going to end up with major problems.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I'll go through other drug warnings and other information about different drugs because it seems that people don't get it until you kind of name a drug that they're on. And I did not name prescription, brand names. I don't want to get in trouble with drug companies, but the FDA has them all listed. I mean, there are branches of the FDA that do want to report and make sure that people understand, but then there are other branches that won't let some of us educate the public so that they can find this information.
Now, what the other thing, Carolyn, is I don't know if you, I, of course, was multitasking, so I missed one little tiny part, and I just wanted to find out if you said this in your part about also the PPIs and the kidney disease.
Right. Well, I just made mention that PPIs can damage the proton pump in the kidneys, and the studies show that it's, I think that's what got me writing this, that not only can PPIs trigger acute kidney disease, but now they say they can be responsible for chronic kidney disease. And then the whole business of kidney disease, you'll have to read in the Magnesium Miracle. I spend a lot of time on the fact that people are told if they have kidney disease not to take magnesium. And that used to be, kidney disease that it causes you to be on dialysis. I mean, severe kidney disease. It doesn't mean, your glomerular filtration rate is a little off, but it's come to be that where if a person has any level of, quote, kidney disease, they're told, oh, don't take magnesium. It's like the first thing they're told, without, these doctors knowing anything about what they're talking about or where that information comes from. So I spend a lot of time talking about the kidneys need magnesium, and that reports from one of our customers she's in the health field. She's a PhD in health sciences, and she's on dialysis, and she's on a mission to try to get them to put magnesium in their dialysis liquids, because she says in her before dialysis and after dialysis magnesium tests, she drops magnesium after every dialysis. And she says she replaces it with our product, and she's doing pretty well. But for the most part, people on dialysis are having all kinds of heart and health problems because they're low in magnesium.
Oh, my. Well, we're here doing our part, Carolyn. You're doing your part. And, yes, I think, in the beginning we were always so modest and saying, you just don't worry about, saying anything about the products. You just get yourself healthy and all this. But, yeah, we've got to definitely start to ask our customers and our, fellow listeners, which many of them already do anyway, to just really get involved and bring this education as much as it's their desire to do so. Now, Sandy did type in and say, is there a place to contact to report medicine that has made magnesium drop and or have a reaction to the medicine itself? So, Carolyn, we're going to find that out and announce that on the next show, right?
Yes, it's adverse AERS system. I mean, we have to keep track of that in case people tell us they have adverse reactions to our products. So I think it's AERS, Adverse Reporting System.
Okay,
of the FDA.
And this is for pharmaceuticals.
Right. So, yeah, we'll have to find exactly. AERS means Adverse Events Reporting System.
Okay, so AERS.com?
That's right. Well, it's like
or
FDA.gov.
Yeah.
Questions and answers on FDA's Adverse Events Reporting System. So we'll get that information. It occurred to me as I was talking that we really should start reporting what we know. I mean, as you said, Jenny, every day you're getting people who are saying, I took this drug or I took this or that, and then, I ended up with these symptoms that were relieved by magnesium. So I think I have a magnesium deficiency reaction to this and that. So maybe we have to start reporting.
Right, okay. It's the FDA Adverse Events Reporting System is FAERS. And I'm going to look and see if I can find the thing that you can go to, Lord. I'll post it on the chat line, you guys, when I find it. Not like the government. It's so hard to find the most basic thing. Oh, Lord, but it makes life fun and interesting, and we're all on board with that. Okay, 5 minutes to the top of the hour. 602-666-6027 is the number to call if you want to talk to Dr. Dean tonight. And, of course, you haven't lived until you talk to Dr. Dean. That's all I have to say. So if you're on the line and you have a question or comment, you've got to hit star 5. Star 5 is going to raise your hand in the studio and let us know that you have a question or comment, and then we put you on the line with Dr. Dean. And if you're raising your hand and I'm not calling on you, then that means that I don't see your hand, and then just go to the chat line and type something in. Ginny, I'm trying to get in, and give me your 3-digit area code, and I'll put you on. But let's go to Nova Scotia, PEI, Canada, Carolyn, your own stomping grounds, and see who's up there and who wants to chitty-chat this evening. Hold on, get the right button going there, Ginny. All right, here we go. Area code 902, you're on the line with Dr. Dean.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Hey.
Hi, Dr. Dean. I'm not in Prince Edward Island, so that kind of threw me off a little bit, but I'm in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Okay, the reason I'm calling is so I started the Remag a couple days ago, and I noticed like a lot of muscle twitching on my face. But I should tell you, I have an autoimmune condition. I have a lot of complicated things going on, like basically an autoimmune hypersensitivity, definitely leaky gut, obsessive compulsive disorder, multiple chemical, environmental sensitivities, food sensitivities, and so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I do notice the muscle twitching on my face. So I thought magnesium is supposed to, do the opposite of that. It's supposed to help, with muscle contractions and everything. So, what do you think could be going on in your opinion?
Right. What's your first name?
Mark.
Mark. Okay, Mark. How old are you?
34. 35 this month.
Okay. Well, I don't know how much you've read, but in some blogs and also in some of my short books, I talk about when magnesium makes me worse. And what happens, I can't talk about your diseases, the FDA won't let me, but I can say that with so many enzyme systems depending on magnesium, if a person has been depleted of magnesium for a long time, and then you start taking magnesium, it's like the muscles and the nerves wake up. It's like you had your arm over a chair for a couple hours, and you take it away, and it's all numb. And then the pins and needles start as the area starts waking up. So we have people occasionally who will say that they just felt a little stirred up after they started the magnesium. And we just tell people, well, maybe take it a little slower, put it in the water and sip it through the day and just, keep reading, or as you're doing, phoning in or listening to the archives, to understand that you're basically opening up all these pathways that may have been partly shut down for a long time, and things are just going to feel different. Does that make sense?
What about the methylation cycle?
What about it?
Yeah, could it be doing something to them? Like, obviously, if you have severe OCD and obsessive thinking, you're under methylating, right? So would magnesium be doing something that triggering my nervous system? And I don't know.
Yeah, good question. The whole methylation business, I think a lot of people are suffering that because they probably don't have enough magnesium and other minerals. I've written about that as well. You can Google my name and methylation. I think that article was in Natural News.
Okay, hold on just a second, Carolyn. We're coming up to the top of the hour,
okay.
Caller. Just hang on 1 second, and we'll bring you right back. We're going to take a brief break, and we'll be right back. This is Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. Hour 1's a wrap, and we're coming up with Hour 2 right after this break.
We'll be back with Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with host Ginny Gunther, after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
AchieveRadio.com. Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
What a beautiful day to be alive. My debt is paid and more money arrives. The fridge is full and there's plenty of ice for a fireside chat with anyone I like. What a beautiful day, good to be here, when almost everyone has disappeared, when almost everyone is waiting in line. It's good to meet you in this world of mine.
All right, everybody, Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Welcome back, Dr. Dean. And also, our caller from Nova Scotia, you're back on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Mark,
Hi there,
just finish that up. I found one of the articles. It's MG deficiency affects MTHFR ? Really ? It's one of the kind of tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic articles by Morley Robbins, where he quotes me about the whole MTHFR methylation business. So I don't know your case or what to tell you exactly, but it's just to keep looking at the possibilities. And in terms of your reactions to the magnesium, it could be related to it stirring up the methylation cycle, and usually it's in a good way.
Yeah. Doesn't magnesium also need B6, though?
Not Remag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's so well absorbed. It doesn't have to be changed in any way to be absorbed any better. But, because I've known about the problem with bees, way back in my naturopathic training, the real line has the methylated bees in it to help people over their methylation problem until they can heal themselves, hopefully, with the minerals and with the gentle detox of Realign.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll look into that as well. Thank you,
Right.
Doctor.
Yeah, just keep listening and checking it out. I mean, you're not alone in what you're going through, and
I feel like I am.
and you feel like you are, of course. So, we've had so many people over the years phoning into the show and talking, and, we have people who, Roman is one person who went through a year and a half of telling us, all his problems, and then, at the end of it, he feels he's very, very healthy. We can't do that so much with people anymore because we can't talk about diseases, but the archives are there for you to dig into and get some support, as well as, calling in or emailing customer service, and we'll do as much as we're able to. Okay?
Okay. Is there information in your book that's not in your articles online? Is that why you also have a book?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a 600-page book, so and I put all the references there if you're trying to convince, friends, family, or doctors why you should be supported with magnesium. Yeah, it's got a lot of information.
Okay, Doctor. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, keep us posted, Mark.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, excellent. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on achieveradio.com. Thank you for our international callers. Always fun to listen to people from other parts of the world. And, of course, we've got our great customers down in South Africa and New Zealand. We've got people all over Europe, and they've got people up in Canada, and we have people out in England. And a lot of our international callers, listeners, do download the archives and listen after the show's broadcast because of the time zone difference. But we're just so happy that they're part of the crew, and a lot of times they're here by spirit anyway, even if they're not represented on the chat line or through their own personal calls. But thanks to our international callers as well. Okay, now, Carolyn, we'll go to 815. Let me just remind everybody, if you're on the line and you want to talk to Dr. Dean, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad to raise your hand. Okay, so area code 815, the great state of Illinois. Go ahead, please. Dr. Dean's on the line with you. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Yeah, this is Paulette. My favorite name is Dr. Trump, of course. I worked for it. But I just wanted to say that my mom has been feeling...
Paulette, I'm finding your phone really choppy. I can't really make out what you're saying.
Is that better? I couldn't
Yes.
find how to take it off speaker, but I found it. My mother's been taking the products. She's also she has some problems with her vision.
I missed, you said problems with her vision and then you cut out. And now you're gone entirely.
Yeah. Okay, Paulette, we're going to have to ask you to call back. Maybe if you had a landline and not on a cell phone, But call back into the station. I'll put you on the minute you get back in. But, yeah, we lost you altogether on that one, and hopefully you'll be able to figure that out and get back in with us. Okay, let's see anybody else waving their hand at this moment. I had to refresh my screen, Carolyn, so give me a second here to see where everybody's at. And then...
yeah, Paulette phoned in a while back. Mother, 89, frail, weak, but her fingernails started to get hard, her hair growing, walking up and down the stairs, looks better, eyes are sparkling. So,
very good, yes. I remember Paulette. Okay, very good.
Yeah, doesn't get leg cramps, used to be constipated, so maybe she was asking about the vision again.
Okay.
So, yeah, we know who you are, Paulette, and your mom.
Okay, very good. Okay, excellent. Okay, Carolyn, we can press on with mailbag and other things. We're waiting for Paulette and no other callers at this time.
Okay, well, mailbag is a bit of a problem. I get busy on other things, and I didn't collect mailbag. So I knew it would come to this at some point. Bob's moving toward the unmute button.
Oh, dear. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh,
there she is. Let me put Paulette back on. She's on her home phone. Let's do this really quick. Okay, Paulette, are you there?
Yes, I am. Sometimes
much better.
Technology works, and sometimes it doesn't. So my mother was doing well, and then all of a sudden she started having diarrhea. Could it be she got her doses mixed up because she has so much trouble with her vision, or is that common?
It's not
She's
common,
89.
but yes, I read out what you told me in a previous call, so we're up to speed on your mom. And how much is she taking?
She was taking 2 teaspoons of Remag and 1 teaspoon of Remite.
And how long has she been on them, Paulette?
Since April. And this started happening about a week ago.
Well, and does she just take 1 teaspoon twice a day?
Oh, no, I have her trained right. She puts it in a quart of water with the sea salt.
Okay.
Complains about it bitterly, but she does it faithfully.
Okay.
Actually, I think she likes it now. She did not at first.
Right. Since April. I don't know that she'd be saturated, but what I would say is just to get her to use 1 teaspoon a day of Remag. And
okay, that's what my gut told me to tell her, and that's what I told her. And I'll see her in about a week, and we can see what we can do.
Right.
She generally gets a lot of fiber, so I don't know that adding psyllium or anything would help.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's the best thing to do because, I don't know, I just have a sense that the 2 teaspoons, she probably did get some level of saturation, and the 1 teaspoon may be all she needs. I know it's all I need right now, although it took me a lot longer to get here. So, yeah, let us know how that goes.
Well, I had a similar thing happen, but I had accidentally dosed myself with 4 teaspoons for about a week, and then realized I wasn't looking at it properly. But then I couldn't go back to 2. I had to go down to about 1.5. So maybe I got saturated, but I haven't had the time nor the money to go get it myself tested. But it'll happen within a month or 2.
Right.
Because I'm not so cold anymore.
Oh,
and that's wonderful.
Good. Yeah, and the testing
goes with the nature's right.
Good. The testing can be how you feel. Like if your mom, after a time on the 1 teaspoon, if she starts, getting some magnesium deficiency symptoms back, then you'll move it up. But yeah, you'll have to question her about did she think she was taking more than she was used to, but. Okay, that's what I'd say.
Sadly, because of macular degeneration, she can no longer tell the difference between purple and blue. So it's very difficult for her to tell at a glance which bottle she's using. And if the brightly colored other labels I put on there fell off, it could be 50-50.
Right. Yeah, if there's a way of...
so much.
Yeah, some people, Paulette, they'll take the cap and make an indent or something really strong on the cap to differentiate.
Oh, so you can feel it.
Feel it. And then every time you open a new bottle, keep the cap. Put the cap on the new bottle. So
I wonder if some sort of glue would stick on it.
Yeah.
If you indent it, I would be concerned that it would break.
Yeah, that's true.
That's an excellent idea. Or even put a rubber band around it.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you'll come
idea.
up with something. Yeah, good, because
that's a great idea.
That's why we changed the colors, but then we didn't think of people who were either colorblind or with the macular degeneration. But, I shouldn't say that people with macular degeneration, they can have magnesium deficiency, but I won't say that.
Well, she has other things that the magnesium deficiency has definitely corrected, and she's much better. Like I said, she no longer looks so frail as I saw her in January. She can run up and down her stairs now, but she still hangs on to something. They've scared the death out of her about falling. But she doesn't have any bruises, despite the medication that they told her would make her bruise from head to toe.
Wow, interesting.
Eliquis, a blood thinner. Doesn't have any bruises at all. I think they keep questioning her whether she's taking it, but I've seen her take it. So, she's doing something right.
That's great, Paulette. Well, good.
And she did the math and said that, this stuff is so much better absorbed. It has to be cheaper than all those pills I was taking.
Good for her. Good.
She'll be 90 on Thursday, and she figured out that math herself. Of course, I helped her a bit.
Yeah. Well, give her a happy birthday greeting from us. Okay, Paulette?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay,
all right,
great.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Cool.
Okay, excellent. That's so sweet, isn't it?
Yeah. I know, all these amazing children helping their parents out, and we get feedback all the time of people just thanking us so much because it helps them help their folks. So Paulette's a wonderful customer. Thank you, Paulette.
Yeah. It's very important, and it's such an easy fix, and such what Greg always says is small cause, big effect. It's just incredible what a little bit of magnesium can do. It's just amazing. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on Achieve Radio. I think everybody's doing well this evening, and thanks everybody for writing in on the chat line and saying howdy. And, of course, we'll just remind everybody it is the night before book launch, so if you have not yet ordered your truckload delivery of the Magnesium Miracle 2017 edition on Amazon, please do so right now, just so that we can make sure that you have adequate propaganda to distribute throughout the world. Everybody doing their part in their little corner of the world. I think it will be very impactful, and we're excited to see what the outcomes are going to be from the book. And we're still living in the repercussion or the ripple effect of the first book, Carolyn, in 2014. Not the first book, but the first revision, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
That kind of put us on the map, all that information. And one of the things that Dr. Princetta said, this functional medicine chiropractor from San Diego, he was concerned because Random House sent out the review copies quite late, and it didn't give people hardly a chance to read the book, and he was concerned that his review isn't going to get out there. But I think what we'll do is try to get all those late reviews up on Amazon so that that people can enjoy them. I think that would be wonderful.
I remember, too, back in the day when we were doing the radio show. Of course, we started the radio show, I think, Carolyn, back in 2011. 2011 as a response to people wanting to ask questions about the RNA drops. That's how the radio show got started. Right. But and then we kept going. But I know that in the beginning, we used to read the reviews when they would come through on Amazon for the book. We were so excited, right? And I mean, so many, over 800 five-star reviews on Amazon, or however many that is, 800 reviews and 4.5 stars or something like that. 82% of the reviewers giving it a 5-star rating. I mean, the book has just been so impactful, and I love the way that people are able to, and we can read these on the radio because this doesn't have anything to do with the drug. This is just health information. And one of the things that I love the way that people write about it, because they do point out, the sincerity of important health information your family physician may never tell you. And this was written back in 2012. This little book is very dense with important information, and I cannot even begin to tell you what a life-changing experience it has been for me. If you are seriously looking to feel better and improve your health overall, this book will help you do that. One interesting point that I would like to make here is that whatever your ailment may be, it is probably due to a magnesium deficiency. And you're probably wondering, how can I make this statement? However, it is a true fact that magnesium deficiency causes many different symptoms and even diseases depending on the individual. And, I mean, it just goes on and on. Some of our, and of course it stands to reason that people who are well-read are also well-written. And so some of these, testimonials, and here's one that even came in just 4 days ago, unbelievable importance of magnesium to our health supported by documented research and clinical testing. Cannot believe how uninformed most medical doctors are and frustrated with the misleading information drug companies spread through hundreds of millions of dollars a year in advertising. Wake up, everybody, and stop buying into the nonsense. Take responsibility for your own health. I mean, it's just great reviews, right, Carolyn?
Hey, Carolyn, that's where I come in here. I've been thinking about this during the show.
Yep.
There's something else going on in the world that's made medicine switch to these stupid drugs, make people believe in them, and it's not a conspiracy of greed. There's something that's made people think that's where to go, and nobody's addressing that.
Well, drug advertising on TV.
I say that information is not causing this problem. If there's something else about the conditioning of our environment that is making people go with this. It's like as people got more and more smaller devices, more convenient, and could get things more instant, the instantaneity of our technological life meant our solutions for our body should be instant. And that's maybe very profound, so that educating people, telling doctors that they got it wrong ain't working because something else is motivating them. I suggest everybody think about this for a week. See if they can come up with some answers. I think I got the answer, but I'm not going to go into it yet. But why don't we figure out what this shift was that made everybody stupid in relation to real information? And why can't real information change people on a mass level, on a bigger level?
Oh, gosh, yeah, that's a huge
Well, let's not be afraid of it.
Well, we talk about it every week.
No, I don't think we're getting at it.
We talk about people who have been brainwashed to think
I don't think they're brainwashed. These terms don't work.
People who don't have time to take care of themselves, and they'll just listen to
that's a factor. People don't have a slower situation for perception. And then we haven't realized what Steve Jobs and Bill Gates did to everybody.
Well, Bob, I know that a lot of our customers are not. I understand the Android meme. I know what it is. I understand the chip body. I know what that is. Our customers don't live on their devices. Our customers.
That's not the point. The environment around them has changed. McLuhan always said you don't need a TV to be profoundly affected by it. You don't need to be using it. The world is using it. And that's affecting institutions. And that's why people go and they talk to the doctor. The doctor's not a doctor anymore. He's something else. And I don't want to say just a drug dispenser. There's something else going on that's made people incredibly parahuman or unfamiliar. Made the doctors unfamiliar, made the patients unfamiliar. And they're lucky when they find that, the bottle in the sea, Carolyn stuff. But there's a big mass level of weirdness going on.
Oh, well, there's no doubt. Everybody knows that. People may not be able to identify what it is, but most people are so overwhelmed with all the things that are going on and bombarding them and the environment changing in whatever regard they want to identify the environment, whether it is the physical environment, whether it's the political environment, whether it's the health environment. How do all these people just go to being absolutely profoundly chronically sick, and 70% of Americans living on pharmaceutical drugs and obese and all the rest of this? I mean, it's what's happening is absurd. It's so incredible. People are inundated. They are overwhelmed.
It maybe could be understood. These cliche ideas that everybody recognizes that something's going on doesn't help to recognize it. It's actually, medicine should be stopped, outlawed, most information outlawed, and the people have not a vote, a new president or a new this or that. They need to vote on the environment. And how would you even get them to see that? But that's the point there. You need to take control of the world you're living in, not personally, collectively.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Why not? Everybody starts. You think people are going to learn about your book and learn from it? Why can't this be emphasized? See?
It requires people to think and stop and take a few moments. And Bob talks about this on his What Youth show on Tuesdays and on the new coach house on Saturdays, and there's only a handful of people that take the time to engage. It's
because your song says it. Michael wrote it. Everybody's disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
This is about more important than E equals MC squared, or more important than the statement, the medium is the message. The E equals MC squared of the second half of the 20th century. There's something else going on, and the content. Worry about this. Worry about that thing. These are not the things to worry about. We need to worry about the fact you turn on your cell phone and it's still working. Oh, my God, it's still out there, the disease.
Mm-hmm.
And yet people have all these prejudices about, oh, no, that's not going to happen. I need my cell phone, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're not a serious person if you're looking at this situation. Even for your book to come out and tell us magnesium, even though it's privately a solution, distracts people from what's going on. So, without trying to sound like a Chicken Little, it's amazing how everybody's walking around in mental circles and not noticing what's happening and won't even dare tell their neighbor once they see it. So, anyways, your information makes me angry about the lack of willingness to figure out why your problem to be a doctor is a big problem.
That last sentence didn't make any sense.
Why your problem of trying to be a doctor is a red herring. It's not the issue. You, as a doctor, should be discussing this stuff. You have it as one little chapter in Death by Modern Medicine. The whole book should be written. But it has to be written differently, because there are a few people have written books about, turn off your TV and that. It's not even a media issue anymore. There's something else going on, people. And I don't know what makes people think that they require and hope for a simple answer. That there is an answer out there. Why do they assume that? Now, you're pretty good at convincing people that there's an answer out there, because your answer works. Probably one of the few answers in the world that ever worked. But see, there's a bigger issue. Since you are trying to reach more people, we're up against some other weirdness going on.
I do know this, Bob. I do know that in model of self-actualization, people absolutely cannot even begin to contemplate the level of thought that you're talking about, or recognition, or pattern recognition, or whatever you want to call it, if they're in a state of physical survival. And people who are sick are trying to survive. And so, to me, I think the optimum thing is get the nutrients in your body, and give yourself a space in your mind and in your physicality to be able to actually then be able to relax and allow yourself to find new information that may support you in having a greater level of awareness and perception about what's going on. And that is what we do offer through the RNA drops, the Relax and Allow drops. And we do offer it through our information, and we state that clearly on our website, that we are about a change in perception. And I think Carolyn's done a great job of providing that perceptively, and maybe the beginning of that change in perception is to take the focus off institutions like doctors and put it back on individuals where they can make choices for themselves to empower themselves to achieve, again, a different level of perception.
Nice words, but it's not adequate to what we're dealing with, and people don't need more information.
Yeah, Bob.
I'm not saying they need information. They need relief from their diseases so they can think.
And not until they get relief will they even be able to think or discuss or come on your radio show. So, yeah, you can't badger
Bob,
people into.
I think we can badger people. I think I get the whole population badgering each other.
A perfect example of that is what happened in Payday back in the 2009, 2010 when the crash began or was noticed, and people began a long time ago, as we know, but when it became to the point where it couldn't be ignored, and Ion came on with you and Carolyn and started to give people relief from their fear, and also started to give them the awareness, the perceptive, intelligent, that they could actually be in charge of their own world, and then came up with the solution, which is the RNA drops, which we still work with. And those people now all got that first wave of relief, and now they're off doing their thing and being busy about, whatever they're being busy about, so on and so forth. And I guess I'm saying is that in Carolyn's way, what she's doing is offering a different type of relief, which is the physical relief of stress and disease, and giving people a place where they can start to feel good. And now, when they do feel good, like the Sandys of the world, who, is out being totally out of her bed, she was bedridden, she's totally able to get out and engage the world again, then they do start engaging with you, listening to your show, asking what's next, because now they're ready to take it on.
Well, it's nice that 5 or 6 people got better, but people are very naive on the collective level, and we got to learn to talk collectively. Like, I'm not expressing my point of view when I do this. There's nothing based on anything I know. It's another level of perception, which anybody can get to. Don't know how you get there.
That is correct. Well, you've made it clear that the way that you get there, and you've helped a lot of people get there, and I wouldn't just limit it to 4 or 5, because that's kind of a disservice to yourself and your body of work. I mean, I'm sure it's much more impactful than that. So,
I'm talking about Carolyn. Carolyn got the 4 or 5 people.
Well, gosh, Carolyn's got a lot more people than that.
Well, okay.
We get 4 or 5 testimonials a week.
Okay, go ahead. You can get people feeling really good on our products, but they will not be able to maintain it. They'll become stupid if they don't understand the other factors going on. That's why the most important part of health is perception, or maybe the mind, then the body. And the mind is like your social understanding of what's happening to your family and everybody else in your nation and in the world. There's a level that we haven't learned to talk about. Everybody thinks they have to tell their point of view. Well, forget that. Points of view aren't involved here at this situation.
Yeah, so with all the social media and everybody is their own broadcaster, there are just billions of points of view. And
that's a disease.
Yeah.
That is a disease or a dis-ease that's happened.
Right. Yeah, so nobody.
I mean, it gets biblical, Ginny.
There's no.
But I mean, wait a minute. Hold on just a second. I just don't understand how a disease of a million points of view, what are you just talking about, one group mind where everybody thinks the same thought? I don't see where point of view is a disease.
It is,
how
because
does
you're
that
involved
happen?
with expressing the way you see things. So you got these kids lying in bed all day, you saw that article, that can't leave their domicile. They must remain attached and texting and fear of losing contact of whatever group scene they're in that they're texting among. I mean, that's ridiculous. These kids, they don't like people, they don't like their families, and they admit there's a whole new book. So this journalist, whatever she is who's going to write about this, has done this. The book comes out. She might make a lot of money, but it will not solve any issues. It'll just make people more confused about what the issue is. She gets close to it because she shows the symptoms, but it's never properly addressed about how she's just piling another pattern. What I'm saying is just another pattern piled on the situation. And so the big bias today is I'll become more informed. I'll teach myself. I'll find out about this. That's what you're being seduced by.
But you don't have an answer either, except to
phone into
your radio shows.
Listen. Our answer. I have an answer, but it's not going to be believed. We have had an intervention. It's that bad, and that's what ION is. A colossal, prophetic, prophesied intervention. That's a massive thing, and they're doing what's going to be done. And they tell you, people, if you don't get this, you're gone. That's what they tell. So,
right. So people, if they're interested, can go to Achieve Radio and tune into our shows on Saturday night and Tuesday. So I have another topic, Bob, that I have to go into. So
well, I've just taken advantage of this gap here.
I know. Okay, so thanks, Bob. Ginny, any last words to Bob?
Thank you, Bob. And also we have a caller holding to Carolyn.
Yeah.
When you want to get to the caller.
We can go to the call first.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Let's go out to area code 587, Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. Hello. Go ahead, please.
Oh, hello, ladies and Bob. Sorry, I just got back. I got in for your conversation on what you were just talking about. Carolyn, I was wondering if I could ask a question about back to do with sorry, I was carrying in groceries. To do with blood pressure and blood pressure medication. I know we've talked about this before.
Yes, right. I don't know if I can talk about diseases on the show anymore, though.
Oh.
Yep. In general, if you just make a general question, we can try there. And this is Louise, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. Okay. How do I put it into general terminology? First off, I have been taking the magnesium and the minerals in that, and it would help me with the mineral, the magnesium deficiency that other things cause, getting cramps and stuff like that, and.
But let me just interject. Your blood pressure, you or your doctors thought it was related to your dental situation. Was that the case?
I was thinking that. The doctors don't think it has anything to do with dental stuff because it's I've been hearing some pretty lame things on the medical side of things in the last while. And
maybe you could email, maybe it'd be easier so you don't have to dance around and figure out how to say it. Just email and, I'll answer, again, not relating to to drugs, but try to give you an answer. Can you do that instead, Louise?
Sure. If it's getting to the point, things get to the point where magnesium isn't getting rid of the cramping anymore, is there a way around it, or?
Well, if you've got a lot of stress, if you're on the medications, if, those things are using up your magnesium, the question is, are you able to take enough magnesium to deal with all that? I don't know if you can just get a serum magnesium blood test up there to even know what your levels are.
Can they do serum magnesium here? Because they just want to do the other blood test in Canada.
Right. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to ask you. I would think they would be able to do some sort of magnesium test and not just ignore it altogether.
Because I've gotten up to 4 or 5 teaspoons.
Well, just email me. This is.
Hey, Carolyn, is Louise on other medication?
You were on high blood. Well, she has to be on blood pressure medication because it was so high. There's a lot of things going on. It's very medical, and it's it's not something I can talk about on the radio anymore. I'm afraid. So email me, Louise. Okay.
Okay. Awesome. I'm sorry if you got or that you're not able to talk about things on the radio.
I know, it's ridiculous. It really is sad. But yes, send an email through customer service support at rnareset.com, and I can point you to some things if possible. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks so
Louise.
much, and have a great evening, everyone.
Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hey, Carolyn, this is what's really unique.
Yeah, Louise?
Have you ever heard of, or you've heard of it, but what do you think of medical cannabis for things?
That would be me talking about a medical thing.
Oh, that's a medical thing. Okay.
Hey, Louise, note this. There's millions of shows on there, and medical shows or whatever they claim they're being, that have never come to this point and say, well, we can't talk about that. They're talking, yakking, and probably being real sloppy and breaking the rules. It's really interesting what people are getting away with. Like Mercola's got something to say every week, and everybody's assuming that's medical, and yet he's allowed to pontificate on it. This is a new, interesting dilemma we have here. You have the most knowledgeable person on the planet has a kid that's not allowed to talk about it. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. I missed how all that came down, but I'll research it and
go back to the July 10th archive, Louisa. Go back to the July 10th archive on the radio show, and we laid it all out for everybody. It's been that way since the 10th of July.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we announced it on that show, and we laid it all out, what happened and what the new terms and conditions were for everything.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to move on now, Louise, okay?
Yes.
Before Bob jumps in
again. Okay, have a great evening.
Okay,
thanks.
Thank
you.
Bye. Bye-bye. Okay, so the next topic, unless we have another call, Ginny?
Not unless Dave wants to call in and talk. We don't have another caller. I'm trying to make Dave Neufeld call in.
Okay, now here's something I've been working on. It's calcium supplements being linked to many diseases. So I'm seeing this all over. There's something called the coronary calcium scan, where they're now deciding that the amount of calcium in the coronary arteries, not the amount of cholesterol, but the amount of calcium is related to heart disease. And You heard Roman say last week that he had a 0 coronary calcium scan. I mean, this is a guy who had horrible heart disease and palpitations and all kinds of just life-threatening arrhythmias with a 0 coronary calcium scan. So they're looking at that. So that's kind of a sidebar. And so I'm saying calcium supplements linked to many diseases. A Swedish study found that older women with a history of stroke or what's called white matter lesions in the brain who take calcium supplements have an increased risk for dementia. And I don't know if the researchers factored in the amount of calcium in the diet of the study participants. The study was done in Sweden, and Sweden has the second highest milk consumption in the world. The researchers make futile attempts to explain why calcium supplements are harmful. They also found that calcium supplementation increased the risk of heart attack and stroke. These findings confirm another dozen studies that found a higher incidence of heart disease in women who take calcium supplements. I report that in the new Magnesium Miracle book. Ironically, the women on calcium supplements had twice as many fractures, even though they were probably taking extra calcium to prevent broken bones. Totally ignoring their scientific findings, the researchers simply parrot previous recommendations and say that calcium deficiency contributes to osteoporosis, which can result in dangerous fractures, so the elderly should still keep taking their 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams of calcium daily. They don't even try to understand why that message is not working to prevent bone loss, or has not worked in the decades since they've been prescribing extra calcium. Of course, all these researchers are missing the magnesium connection. Calcium cannot build bones or prevent osteoporosis without adequate levels of magnesium. It's as simple as that. If our bones are made entirely from calcium, they become brittle and can shatter, just like a stick of calcium carbonate chalk falling on the sidewalk. However, with the right percentage of magnesium, bone has the proper density and matrix that actually makes it flexible and more resistant to shattering. Many elderly people are suffering bone fractures because they have too much calcium, not enough magnesium. A 2014 meta-analysis concluded that low serum magnesium is a risk factor for osteoporosis among the postmenopausal group. And then because someone will always say, well, what about vitamin D, K2, etc. in osteoporosis, I tell people just to Google those nutrients in my name for an extensive list of blogs that I've done. As for the other conditions triggered or affected by calcium supplements, gallstones, heel spurs, kidney stones, breast tissue calcification, remember that sufficient magnesium keeps calcium dissolved in the blood and directs it properly to the bone so it will not precipitate in soft tissues of the body. I write the following in my Magnesium Miracle book. The body doesn't take the threat of excess calcium lying down. Dr. Guy Abraham details how the body protects itself. He says that in order to protect the fluid inside the cell from becoming saturated with calcium, there is a magnesium-dependent mechanism that shunts calcium into the mitochondria. However, this can backfire because if too much calcium is taken up for too long, the excess calcium in the mitochondria inhibits ATP synthesis. And ATP is your energy molecule, and it requires six of the 8 steps requires magnesium. You've all heard that. So mitochondrial calcification without the intervention of sufficient magnesium eventually results in cell death. And my question is, could calcium excess and magnesium deficiency be the underlying cause of mitochondrial dysfunction that many natural medicine practitioners say is the underlying cause of chronic fatigue syndrome and other chronic diseases, and for which practitioners are recommending all sorts of esoteric supplements, and I just say stick with magnesium, or at least use that first. And then I finished to try and stem the tide of body calcification. Instead of 1,200 milligrams of calcium per day, I follow the UK and WHO recommendations of 600 milligrams per day, which many people can achieve in their diet. I balance this with at least 600 milligrams per day of picometer ionic magnesium. So that's my latest. I've written a lot about calcium, but I'm refining it more and more every time a new study comes up. And this new study was the Swedish study saying that with a history of stroke or white matter lesions, women who take calcium supplements have an increased risk for dementia, and they don't know why. And that's what I do. I'll find a study and wrap it into my whole magnesium mythos. So what do you think of that one, Ginny?
That is incredible. That's just a more awesome information. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like more and more we're realizing, the importance of magnesium and the many ways it can be affecting people. And like Bob says, right at a time when I can no longer talk about these things.
Well, because you got the key pattern. When you want to say information. So a couple people are responding.
Oh, yeah.
Sandy and Sherry saying, you're right, Bob, I agree, there's something weird going on out there. We're all sheep being led to the slaughter. I think you need to get past that. You would try to look at what is the extent of slaughter. Everybody has been killed. We aren't even here anymore. You got to start dramatically noticing how life, and for your children, everybody, is over. It's done. And this is what Sun Ra started singing in 1970. It's after the end of the world. Don't you know that yet? But it is that drastic, and that explains why ION had to intervene. You people had to find out what ION is. That's an incredible phenomenon. Something intervened. It was like past the second coming, buddy.
What, to make it worse?
No, just build a new world. Build a new world that has nothing to do with humans.
Things only started getting worse when ION showed up.
No, ION made us recognize what had happened, but we think it's getting worse. No, I was saying we are here. We're the area that you die into, called the guff in Jewish literature, religious literature. We are not there to accept your bodies and souls when you die anymore. We are here. We are taking over the whole constituents of matter. That's how dramatic it is.
And think, folks, I've lived with Bob for 50 years. And it's only by little increments that I let him speak. Next week, I'm going to have...
She's by FDA.
I'm going to have... I'm going to have so many backup topics that you're not going to be able to...
Okay, Carol, the only reason you've been able to handle me for 50 years is that you're so great I can handle you, so that makes me more tolerant of the fact you can't handle me. Oh. So you give yourself some credit there.
Yeah.
Did you get that, Jen?
Yeah, she says, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's pretty, you just have to keep battering away. I'm reading the history of the world now. According to the Venetian oligarchies taking over, and it's you could say it's a conspiracy, but no, it's just people who want to have control.
And it didn't work for them.
Yeah.
It didn't work. Everything collapsed in 2008. Nine showed up in 2009. George Bush and everybody, the old oligarchy that LaRouche writes about, are nowheres now. George Bush is painting the Dalai Lama. That's what he does. He makes little paintings.
Right. And in terms of medicine, they are trying to control all disease, and now they're trying to control
meme.
All health.
See, it's not even people anymore. It's the android meme, the information environment. Look at this. It's McLuhan's principle. If you got a lot of something, it ain't affecting anything. We got a lot of information in the world. That means we're not in an information or informing situation. It's over. And practice meditating on that, people, than whatever other crazy little habit you got, or basketball game you watch, or volleyball you engage in. practice looking of where it's come to, and why Carolyn is the only valid medical voice on the health voice in the fucking media. The only one. It's imploded. It's a singularity. It led to someone who actually could figure out what is happening, and it always is. Magnesium is the answer, is to explain what the deficiencies are, no matter what. And any issue you bring up medically, Dr. Dean, her pattern is the one that explains it. And she's not allowed to say it does do that.
Mm-hmm. It's very exciting. and the timing of the Magnesium Miracle book being tomorrow, right in the midst of all this. So I am very serious when I say you buy a dozen books and start passing them out.
Yeah, the only information that may be useful.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you want to save your life and be healthy enough to
just to feel
listen
good.
To Bob.
Nothing to do about your diseases. This book's not here for your diseases or anything. This book is here to help you feel good. Mm-hmm. Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all it's here for. We're here to make you feel good. And the book does make you feel good.
Okay, Ginny, we got a few minutes left. What do you have to say?
Okay, let me read a couple of comments here on the chat line. And yes, a lot of people are trying to agree with Bob. They don't maybe understand the fullness of what he's saying. But Susan in New Zealand typed in, Barbara typed in and said, my doctor's office keeps trying to get me to come in for a physical. I keep dodging them. I take no prescriptions. I'm not interested in allopathic medicine. Is there any value to having a physical these days?
I personally, you can go get a blood pressure check at Walmart. You can do a few blood tests online. I think you can take care of some of those things yourself if you want to. What a doctor will do is try to find something wrong. That's their modus operandi. So because of the kind of the fear of doctors, you go in with your fear of the white coat, and then your blood pressure may be elevated, and then all of a sudden they tell you, well, you have high blood pressure, and here's the medications. They do the opposite of what we used to think family medicine was about, where maybe I had a whole different attitude, but people would come in and like to hang out in my waiting room and talk with people and then have a nice visit with me. And if there was a little bit of something wrong, I'd find out their stressors and maybe give them a vitamin shot or an acupuncture treatment or some body work, some energy work. So it's not what it wasn't for me back then what it is now, which is they're trying to find a way to give you a medication because writing a prescription signals the end of an appointment for most doctors. That's what I have to say about getting an annual physical or a physical. They're just trying to find something wrong or tell you, well, you have to get a mammogram or colonoscopy I do agree with, every 5 years because they can remove polyps that may become cancers, but you cannot have them done by someone who just does them once a week. You have to go to a clinic where that's what they specialize in, and they don't have any adverse effects or, any, side effects. What's the word I'm looking for? They don't hurt people?
Injuries, they just don't, adverse effects, or they don't just rupture people because they're not experienced at it.
Right.
When you do those colonoscopies, Carolyn, you do have to be referred by a family physician a lot of times, right?
That's true. So, good point. Right. Yeah. But, it's interesting, and I had to go and see a family physician to get a referral, to go to an ear doctor, which ended up having a wonderful ear surgery that made me no longer deaf. So I love what medicine can do surgery-wise, and there are a lot of good things about medicine. But yes, you have to go to a family doctor. But they took my blood pressure over my sweater, did my weight with my shoes and my sweater and clothes on. I've never had a physical. I don't even know if these HMOs do physicals unless you ask them.
2 points, Carolyn. Everybody's so insecure, and nobody can rely on anybody in the community to be consistent because they're too distracted with their multiple bodies. So doctors are feeling jeopardized in their income level, so they want to get to the issue right away. And if you don't go along with it, they kick you out, and they get some other dummy to come in who will follow their instructions.
Yeah.
So there's that level of panic, Arthur Coker's panic situation. And then even if you say there's some good points about medicine, so good points about architecture, good points about the police, good points about this and that. They're all overridden by this larger situation. They're all overridden.
Right. Back to you, Jenny.
One thing I wanted to say, Carolyn, is the good thing about people who listen to the show, like Barbara and Susan, and people who are chatting on the chat line about this, you have ammunition. You know what to expect because you've heard Carolyn enough, and you know how to sift things out. You're really not at risk. Actually, you're the kind of person who should go to the if you were going to go. You know what I mean? Because you're actually educated, and to the whatever degree Bob thinks you've got information that's valuable. So, go in confidence and joy, and make them be in service to you because they are there to serve you. That is their role and responsibility. And so go if you feel that you need to go, have them serve you, be empowered with your own information, and don't make any decisions.
And become a Trumpist. You know what a Trumpist is? You start firing people. That's what Trump's all about, firing people. And you got to start talking to your doctor. If he's not smart, fire him and tell him to his face. You're fired, buddy. You're not informed.
Okay.
And they should fire your tax collector, fire everybody.
Bob, I have to tell you that Dave Neufeld called in this week at the very top end of the show. Dave, I'm sorry I didn't see you. I wish you would have called in earlier. So please call in next week because we'd love to hear from you. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Congratulations, Carolyn, on your book, and many, many successful sales tomorrow in your launch day.
If people knew what Carolyn had to go through to get that book out, the hell she had to go through just to get it out. Thank you very much, Ginny.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Bob and Ginny and Bill.
Here on AchieveRadio.com.
There's Dave's voice.
Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com. Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.